What does Samhain mean to me? We're in the middle of Samhain at the moment, although we're not completely up with the October 31st Christianized date, which doesn't really matter anyway, because a power force is a power force whenever it happens. I tend to celebrate, or should I say honour, Samhain from the last full moon to the next new moon, which is the 7th now of November. Now, there's a lot of people will tell you that Samhain is about honouring the ancestors, or honouring the dead, or honouring the veil between the worlds, or more, you know, prosaically saying that it's about the end of the harvest season. I feel it's about all those things, and all those things are equally important. What Samhain means to me is the casting off of the skin. If we were a spider or a reptile or a hermit crab, we would cast off periodically our skin or our shell. And that's how I feel about this particular point in time. I'm here in the middle of the forest on a spectacularly beautiful, it might as well be in New England or in Canada or somewhere. It is absolutely glorious. It's crisp, it's cool, it's dry, and there's not much wind, and it's very rare for this part of Ireland, so it's a perfect morning to do this. What I do is, on Samhain's Eve, I will light a bonfire on my property, and I will write down things that I need to get rid of, people I need to forget, situations I need to overcome, things that I've survived in the previous year, like illnesses and so on, or problems, and I will burn them in the bonfire, and I will then exhale at the same moment. So I will write down on a piece of paper these things that I've overcome in the previous year, and I don't need to carry with me into the next year. And just as I'm to put it on the fire, I inhale. You can do it with a candle at home, you don't have to have a bonfire. I inhale, and then I pass it out into the fire. The inhalation and the exhalation is personally important to me, because I do have a kind of a Damocles sword over my life, in that I don't have very good lungs. I only have really one and a bit working, and that's a lot of the times that can be problematic as well. So for me personally, that means an awful lot, and this is the essence of paganism: to bring your personal feelings to it, your personal sensations, inclinations, and experiences to it. You know, if you've gone through a divorce, maybe burned, I don't know if you're supposed to hang on to your divorce papers, but just maybe burn a lawyer's letter or something relating to the divorce. All kinds of things, you know, like a bank loan you may have paid off, or burned a bank book. This is the sacrifice again, but it's, you know, see, people will sacrifice money before they'll sacrifice symbols, and I find that very interesting. They'll throw away money to charity before they'll actually sacrifice something that's symbolically representative of their life experiences. And that's what Samhain means to me. Samhain is the end of the harvest. You not only is in an agricultural environment would you harvest and store away the food for the winter, but you will also harvest the elements of your existence, the experiences of your psyche and consciousness, harvest them and then put them away into the fire for the winter, because this is a time of year where your faculties are quite different, going from the long days to the shorter days. What you need to do is you need to develop a new way of living in order to deal with the winter months. I tend to become quite a hermit in the winter months, unless it's something I have to do, like a friend's band or a band I want to see or something like that. I don't go out, like I don't go to the pub or anything like that till the springtime comes along. In general, like if it's something I have to kind of socially attend, I will attend those things, but in general I do not. I won't go near those things. And this is what it means to me. It's the sacrifice of the the winter months by going into a kind of a psychic and spiritual hibernation. Very important, actually, that we do this. And our ancestors in the ancient past would have retreated back into, do you think like the Nordic, our Nordic ancestors, the ones who arrived in Ireland and Britain from Scandinavia, from Norway, they would have had to spend the winters literally locked up inside their longhouses with a fire in the middle going. And this is where all the stories and the sagas and the epics and the mythologies all came from. They were gestated in the fire of the winter. And so I think another thing I like, if you live in a house where you don't have a coal fire or a wood burning stove, fortunately I do, you can burn candles over the winter. The important thing is to keep the flame. The flame is a symbolic thing that we light on Samhain's Eve that lasts through the rest of the winter. Could be, obviously you can't have a candle burning during the day, but when you come home from work in the evening, turn down the lights and light up your houses or your apartment as much with candles. This is very introspective. This is a very beautiful experience it often creates in people, and a very beautiful way of living. And the flame, there's something within the flame. You'll see the dancing simulacrum. You will see you will understand the fleeting experience of biological life, because you are the flame. You will only be around so long. You will only burn so long, and then you will have to become a flame, something else. And so when you light the candle and you go, say you extinguish the candle the next day or at midnight or whatever, think of that's the end of that cycle, and it represents life begins again when the candle is relit the next night. Ritual is so important, and this is one of the problems. We've lost a lot of our ritual because of Christianity, and they've replaced it with either Christian ritual or jingoistic patriotic rituals, or even more crass things like sports events is what we have now. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they become people's rituals. They set the year by a final or a big game or something like that. And they see the anvil of the psyche. They know that we seek these events, so they steal them from our spiritual world and they sell them back to us as a commercial product. Samhain is about that. Samhain is about honouring the ancestors. And when I say the ancestors, I don't necessarily mean your bloodline. I mean the incorporeal capacity of the entire potential of the ancestors. What brought you to this point, culturally, spiritually, you name it. That's so important to remember that. Don't be obsessed necessarily with blood. This is one of the problems I have with heathenry, is that they're too hung up on blood. Although it is important to a degree, it is not the defining aspect. There's very, it's true what they say. There's very few of us who are pure anything. Almost none of us, and even my ancestry goes right back through the Norse, and my ancestry is English, Irish, Norwegian, and French from the Normans, which were and French. The later Normans were actually more French than Norse, and then right back to Indo-European. So my ancestry goes way back, so does yours as well. And the idea is that when you honour the ancestors, you honour the incorporeal totality of their capacity of culture and spirituality that's emerged into you into this day. And this is why exhalation and inhalation is very important. When you pray, you don't go, Christians pray on their knees, oh, holy Jesus, God in the sky, this kind of thing. When I don't pray, when I give a salutation to the old gods, I will do, and I do call them the old gods, and people say, why don't you call that they never went away? I call them the old gods as a sign of veneration, that they're older and wiser. The old gods and goddesses are again, they're older, they're wiser, they're elders, and that's why I use that expression. Unfortunately, Lovecraft used elder gods for something else, but older gods, I still call them by the old gods. I like that phrase, I like the sound of it, and that's what I do. I call them the old gods. If I want to come here and say venerate the Morrigan, I will to thank them for to thank them for health, or to venerate them for removing a problem from my life, because the Morrigan is a problem remover. Like the Morrigan has aspects of both Kali and both Ganesh. There's an element of obstacles being removed. So I will stand usually like this with my hands straight out. I don't pray, I'm not subservient, because ultimately the God forces live in all of us. There's a helicopter going overhead, not a Morrigan unfortunately, and I will inhale. During the inhalation, I will contemplate what it is I am giving salutation or praise or veneration, or what my wishes or hopes are. Remember, you don't get nothing for nothing. What your intention to work for, to sacrifice for, will be. And then I exhale it. Now, those of you who smoke cigarettes and stuff like that, you should be very careful when you're smoking, because if you're smoking a cigarette because you're depressed, or a cigar or a pipe because you're depressed, you're inhaling a lot of that stuff. So you must make sure to properly exhale. Exhale. So smoking should be, you know, that's why I think if you look in Iberian cultures and in the French, and smoking is associated with happiness and joy, because they know, you know, and it's the same as South America. You have down there the shamans in South America, the holy people down in the Incas, not the Incas, the ones in Peru. They have the same kind of idea. Breath and exhalation. That's why they live at high altitudes, because oxygen is as rare as gold is down here, and we don't pay enough attention to our breath. And this is what you think like this is also what Samhain is. It's the exhalation, the inhalation, right? This comes until the spring, the exhalation. So think. Now, this is the beauty of paganism. Don't go home and follow verbatim what I just told you. Like chaos magic, go home and invent your own rituals. Don't join groups. Don't join systems. Go home and come to the woods like this. Go to the beach. Go to the mountains. And you will find that your rituals will come to you intuitively. And the amazing thing is, they'll be very similar to what I have thought up, and very similar to what our ancestors thought up. Because in a place like this, there is nothing but the truth. Nature is the absolute purest truth. From its slaughter for food to its beauty for reproduction, it is the purest truth. And nature is now going to sleep in order to regenerate itself in the spring, when the goddess Astara rises in the east. And so, just like nature and just like the gods, we too go inside on the Samhain's Eve to emerge again, reborn in the spring. Thank you very much. Shona Samhain, and my very best wishes to all of you, pagans and non-pagans, no matter where you are. Thank you.